Ja, men hej och välkomna till Aktiedagen i Lund den 31 januari med Aktiespararna. Jag heter Gunnar Vrede och ska leda frågestunden efter den här presentationen som kommer alldeles strax. Ni kan själva ställa frågor via YouTube eller SMS. Med det sagt så lämnar jag över ordet till Glycorex Transplantation och dess vd Geert Nygaard. Och den här presentationen kommer att hållas på engelska, ska jag säga. Varsågod.
Thank you so much, and thank you all. Thank you for listening in, both you being not in the room and also for you being in the room. I apologize doing this in English. Might address a broader audience, but I can assure you, if I did it in Danish, it would be a very narrow audience that would have the benefit of this presentation. Short to my person, I'm Geert Nygaard. As said, I'm the CEO of Glycorex Transplantation, and I've been in this function since 15th of December. That means I'm almost 6 weeks into the job. Beside that, I got quite a vast experience from the biotech and the medtech industry. I've spent my lifetime in that industry and predominantly within the diagnostic industry. Very international, spent 19 years in Germany, and now before taking up this position, and has also been 5 years in Switzerland and very operative from China to the United States. Enough about me. We're here to talk about Glycorex Transplantation and who are we as a company. First of all, Glycorex at a glance. We are founded here in Lund in 1996. We went public on the NGM in 2001. But if you look at us as a company, and I always tend to look at it, what is our technology base and what is the area of application and the markets that we do address with it. The technology base is a very unique technology that enabled us to select and remove antibodies in the blood. So very selective extraction of antibodies from blood, which is a very complex material as such. The areas of application where we're using it, that is in the areas of transplantation, and we've been in transplantation for the last 20 years or more than 20 years, predominantly in kidney transplantation, so live donor kidney transplantation, but recently also expanded into areas like liver, heart, lung, stem cells. In this market segment, we are really in the market expansion phase as a company. If we look at, we have another segment, which is the universal blood products, and that is blood group antibody reduced blood products, such as plasma. That means that you take out the blood group incompatibility out of your blood plasma. And that enables quite a lot of usage in that. It could be plasma, but also usable in thrombocytes, in platelets, and in other areas. With this product, and that's a fairly newly, and I will elaborate on that, we're in the market introduction phase. Then we have further areas of application where we are going into more in antibody treatment. By selectively removing antibodies from the blood, you can actually treat very selective diseases where antibodies in the blood is the major cause of the disease. That's areas like rheumatoid arthritis, but also as myasthenia gravis, and we'll get into that. So if we have a look, just a brief look at the technology that we use, very simple. If you envision on the left-hand side of this slide, this is your plasma. All of you have got approximately around, 3.5 liters of plasma floating around in your body. A very complex fluid, which actually feeds and drives all the dynamics of your body and all the functions of your body. The plasma contains as well quite a protein component, again a fairly complex protein component, and some of that protein is antibodies that we build when we get infected or get influenced by other things. And in this very complex material, we can actually go in with our technology and just select very specific antibodies of clinical relevance and fish that out of that very complex environment without having any influence on other plasmid components. There are other treatments where you can say, if we have antibodies that we don't want and we want to take out of our plasma, how do we can treat it with other, like plasma exchange. But there you take all the plasma, all the 3.5 liters of plasma, blood or plasma you have in you, take it out and replace it with another plasma. And you can imagine that by doing that, it's much more complex, but it's also introducing a lot of foreign components that is not part of your system as is. So it's got a lot more complications, a lot more potential side effects associated with it. So that is really the core of our technology, but also the core of our technology that lends it to the application of our technology. We have used this predominantly, or first of all, in the beginning of the lifetime of the company, in kidney transplantation. And why have we done that? Basically because kidney failure is a very big burden and has got a large impact, both, of course, on you as an individual if you should get a kidney failure, but also on the society as a whole. Kidney failure is basically a fatal disease. You know, you can treat it by dialysis, and you can postpone it by dialysis and so forth. But at the end of the day, without a kidney transplant, where you're getting a functioning organ, you cannot survive as a human being. The burden that it puts on the society is quite big compared to, you know, people who's getting an end-stage kidney failure is in the 0.1 to 0.2% of the population. But it drives actually the underlying cost of 2 to 3% of the healthcare budgets in developed countries. So it is putting a big financial burden on the system. It's also an issue and a problem that is increasing because kidney failure is also, to part at least, related to lifestyle, right? We're all getting older, lifestyle is getting better and so forth, and that means we are prone to see more kidney diseases and also more fatal kidney diseases. We see in that projection on the left-hand side of the slide that where in 2010 we had 9.7 million people in need of kidney transplant and only 2.6 million getting a kidney transplant, that is just going to accentuate into becoming a problem where in 2013 it's almost 15 million people who needs a kidney transplant and only well over or a bit over 5 million that can get one. So it leaves an enormous gap and unserved burden in that. So how can we increase the number of available transplants? We think we are part of the solution. And if we look at it, Glycorex ABO, the column that we have pictured here in the middle of the slides, is part of the solution. Part of the issue doing transplantation is it needs to be blood group it needs to have the same blood group, right? So if you don't treat you can only donate from your same blood group, or you can donate from a compatible blood group. And the picture on the left-hand side shows that blood group O can donate to all other groups. A can do to A, of course, but also to AB. B can do to B and AB. AB, blood group AB, cannot donate to anybody. So actually that entire pool of AB, blood group AB, you cannot use without actually make it blood group transferable. That we can do with our treatment. With the treatment, we can fish out the blood group antibodies out of the bloodstream on the receiving patient. By doing that, you're then making a transplantation of a otherwise blood group incompatible organ compatible. And by doing that, we've also shown that we can actually increase the number of organs available with up to 30%. The first transplantation that was done using this technology was actually done back in 2001, so 20 years ago. The receiving patient was an 18-year-old woman who had been 10 years in dialysis. 10 years where you have to go to dialysis 3 to 4 times a week, right? And she was getting close to end stage. The situation was her father was willing to donate his kidney, but he was blood group incompatible. And at that point in time, in Sweden, in the world, you didn't have a system. You didn't have the allowance to do blood group incompatible transplantations because you would get rejections. It was done anyway in Karolinska in Stockholm. And Professor Gunnar Thydén took the responsibility, say we're going to use this technology, removed the blood group antibodies from the patients, from the receiving girls or woman's blood, did the transplantation with a fabulous result. It has since then showing that this is doable in a lot of other cases, of course. But as said, 30% by doing this, we can increase the number of kidneys available up to 30%. And I actually got some numbers to show you that it has worked as well since 2001 with the market introduction. The example here is for Germany, whereas since the introduction in 2001 in Germany, you will see the blue line going up, that the number of blood group incompatible transplantations has increased 20% in that market. It takes some time in any given market to get the procedures implemented and to get the clinical practice changed. But here we've seen it in very clear numbers that it has worked. You can compare it to the United States, where this product is not available yet, and where plasma exchange is used as another technology. And in the United States, blood group incompatible transplantation has not increased at all. So by introducing this, we can actually as well not only helping the patients, but also increasing the total market and the total number of kidney transplantations in a given market. So we talked about it's very clinically used. So if we look at the clinical use, since 2001, there's been done more than 5,000 transplantations in live donor kidney transplantation primarily. It's done in more than 30 countries and over 4 continents. It's what we've seen over the last couple of years is though as well, or the last period of time, that this is now very established in live donor kidney transplantations, but it's also spreading over to other blood group incompatible areas like liver, in heart, and in stem cell transplantations. It has shown as well in all these publications, the 60 publications since 2001, to be very efficient and very safe. The profile of a liver transplant is the same as if you are doing a non-blood group incompatible transplantation. That means the survival of the patient, the recovery of the patient is identical with our technology and without our technology. It's also been shown that, you know, that when doing a transplantation, it's estimated to save around 700,000 dialysis treatment per year. If each treatment here in Sweden costs 4,500 kroner, this will be more than 3.1 billion Swedish krona that is saved by getting the transplantation done. On the right-hand side, you will see a few interesting articles. The first one just highlights a summary of studies of this technology used in North America, in the North American population. So we have the clinical proof of concept in North America, although not yet an FDA approval. We've also seen, the next one is in liver, compatible liver. So our technology, the Glycorex ABO column used for liver transplantation. The third one is actually one of them that joys me the most. It was a transplantation that was made in October last year, and it was reported in the BBC News as well, so it really made the headlines in the United Kingdom. It's the Great Ormond Street Hospital has developed a methodology where they can actually combine put our ABO column into a heart-lung machine. So for pediatric heart transplants, where it's previously has been impossible to make heart transplantation on children that was above 1 to 2 years old. Now with our technology, for the first time in the world, they succeeded in doing a heart transplantation on a 10-year-old patient. Her name was Lucy, and she is still doing well. This is just a sign that we are not only treating the patient that has previously been treating, but also expanding the market to the benefit of other and new patient groups. If we look at the market for kidney transplantation and in the transplantation market, we've seen that predominantly our sales in the first 20 years of our existence has predominantly been in Europe. And you will see that Europe, on the upper left-hand side, there's almost approximately 4,500 transplantations done per year. But what we've seen here, where we recently have expanded, is in Turkey, Mexico, and India. Turkey, Mexico, and India adds to those 4,500 transplantations in Europe, with approximately 12,000 transplantation. And we're into the market development work in these areas. Just a sign of it is that in third quarter of last year, we signed up 13 new transplantation centers in India alone. So we are in that process, and if you remember back on the graph from Germany, we are in the starting point of this graph for these countries here now as we expand. But it's also said that the biggest market is the United States. It is a 160 million Swedish krona market, as we estimated at the present point in time, just for living donor kidney transplantation. And it is one of the markets that is on our focus as a priority. If we change from transplantation to transfusion, and I'm just aware of the time here, we have, in addition to our column that we have for transplantation, we got a smaller column, which actually enables to take out blood group-specific antibodies out of blood plasma for donation in transplantation. Issue here is that we have the same problem. Blood plasma can only be used for your same blood group or for compatible blood groups, and it's only 4%, the AB plasma, which can be used as universal compatible plasma. What we can do is, with our column, reduce the level of antibodies in those plasmas so it can be used as universal plasma. There is a substantial demand for that in the world. We estimate in Europe alone that there is an estimated 1 million plasma units per year that can be used. It's the same where when we do this, and you will see the same, we take out the blood group incompatibility by passing the plasma through a smaller version of the column. What it does is it improves stock keeping and logistics around, but it also makes plasma available in situations where it's otherwise difficult. You could imagine in crisis situations where you're having in war hospitals and so forth, where plasma in all blood groups and all varieties are not easily available. Suddenly a product like this can come into place. We are breaking new ground here, should be said. So here it's a very conservative market, and we are in the market development. So we are in the process of getting a lot of studies done, getting a lot of market development work done with leading centers across the world in order to make market proof of concept as well. That was transfusion on top of the transplantation. Our development pipeline, I'm just going to touch very quickly on it. Rheumatoid arthritis, we got a product that has proven, we got clinical proof of concept, and we got the biocompatibility studies completed for this product, showing that it works. It can fish out the very specific rheumatoid arthritis antibodies that we need to take out of the patient in order to really make a recovery in that patient or as such. Next step here is we need the clinical studies done in the market prior to a market approval or CE approval, and that is on on the priorities for this year or for this year and the coming years as well. A bit further down the line is our myasthenia gravis project, which will basically be doing the same. Here we need to go through the biocompatibility studies first. I'm almost catching up. Short on financials. If we look at the development over the last 3 years, we've actually seen a fairly positive development until in 2020 the COVID pandemic, of course, hit. We've seen a decrease in number of transplantations done in hospitals with up to 30%, and that's very nicely reflected as well in our numbers. What we've seen here now in the first 3 months or 3 quarters of 21 is a recovery from that situation. We are up now 9% in sales year to date, first 9 months of 2021, and the rest of the number reflects it. Our cash position is fairly solid for a company of our size, so we are also fairly well bolstered on that. So with that, I'll just as a summary say, we've been through the company. Our application areas in transplantation, blood transfusion, and autoimmune diseases. Short term is really, in summary, is expand the market for our existing product Glycosorb on the market, create the market for our universal blood product, and continue to develop the new products in rheumatoid arthritis and myasthenia gravis. And that's going to be the focus for us going forward. So with that, and just slightly over time, I would like to thank you. Thank you for looking in, and open up for questions.
Thank you very much. Well, this is interesting. You are not a developing company in that sense that you are waiting for phase 1 and 2 and 3 and not on the market. You are on the market, actually. And with this very interesting, useful product, I wonder why you don't sell more.
Yeah, my chairman does as well, right? Yeah. No, but I think there is very good reasons for it. I think, what I try to visualize at least is that we have used the technology has been used on blood group incompatible living kidney donor transplantations. Very complex, right? It's a sub-segment of the market. And we have excelled in that market. I think we are the standard of care in that specific market. We are world champions in that very specific little market. It takes time to change clinical practice, and we've seen that also, and we learned that as a company as well over the last 20 years. That you saw that on the curve for Germany, that it took up to the 20 years to get up to the 20% market expansion. So it takes time to get into the markets. I think what we are realizing now is that there is a lot of other areas of expansion for this technology. That's why, and one of the first steps is the universal blood product, because here we do see that technology is the same as we have it. It's proven to work. We already have got quite a number of studies done. We are in the process of getting a number of extra or additional studies done. So we are starting on developing the market there. And then in addition to that, what we see is that the technology, and here we go actually more from being a medtech game to become more a pharma kind of profile and a game. If we go into disease-specific treatments, right, like in rheumatoid arthritis or myasthenia gravis. So it is like we have been king of a very small market, and we would like to become that of more markets as well. And I can even live with being a bit smaller king of a much bigger rheumatoid arthritis market, for instance, right? So
I understand, and it seems like you already answered my next question, which is you are new CEO of this company since December.
Yes.
And what has the board told you? What is your task here?
It's actually fairly simple. No, but it is fairly simple. It is expand the use of the ABO.
Yes.
That we expand that use to benefit that technology, and we see it not only as we like to make money, of course, and we like to but also expand the benefit to other clinical areas of indication. You know, if we can expand in and get play a much bigger role in lung and in liver, in lung, in heart transplantation, I think that's a great thing, not only for the company but also for the clinical world out there. So expand that is one. Build a franchise around the UBP that we are actually getting that introduced to the market. I think the board is also very aware that it is a conservative market, it's a very well-regulated market and so forth, so it takes time until you get traction on that market. So that is, and then build as well technology into new franchises where we use our technology in areas like rheumatoid arthritis, as myasthenia gravis, but that we are expanding around the very solid technology base that we're having today.
Right. I got a note here with questions from someone. And the first question is, the company communicated a number of times during 2020 about changing listing from NGM to a larger list. And since then it has been quiet. What are the plans now?
Plans remained unchanged. It's the same plans. So it is a priority for us. It is on my agenda. Is it decided yet formally? No, it's not, but it's definitely on the same priority list.
All right. Yeah. Next question is, are you ready for the broad launch of the UBP column now that was communicated in 2021? How should it be implemented? I'm not sure I understand the question myself.
No, it depends on what is a broad launch, right? No, but I think there's different components to a product launch. The first component is you need to have a product which is regulatory approved in the market that you're going to sell it. Are we that in certain areas? Yes, we are. So we can tick that box. But the market launch, it also includes, in my mind at least, a market expansion. You will need to develop those markets. These are not markets where we go in and trying to compete up against existing products on an existing market. We are trying to build a new market and here with the UBP, with the universal blood product, you can imagine we have a product, and we have it now. We have it available in Sweden. But if all the guidelines for the blood banks in Sweden saying, you know, it's difficult to use this product, then we need to work on changing those guidelines, or not changing the guidelines, but work to create that market, right? So I think we are very well prepared on it. But it's also a realization that this is a journey. It's not a single point market launch, and then everybody's buying the new taste of Coca-Cola or whatever. So
I get it.
I hope I answered.
Yes, and how far have you come in regulatory work of the launch of Glycosorb in the US?
Glycosorb in the US, we have actually, as I think previously announced as well, you know, we are in dialogue with different parties in the US. We haven't initiated something. If we initiate something, you're going to be the first to know, right? I think we got an obligation to do that as well. But this is a priority. I think also in my presentation here now, you know, the value of the US market for this product cannot be underestimated. You know, it must not be underestimated. It is an important market, and it's a market that we want to be present on, and we also, I think we're building the process on how we are getting. On the American
about
market.
The application, is it there in the US, or are you writing it, or have you not even started?
We are in the process of setting up the entire system. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
And what's your best guess when?
I don't have at the present point in time. 6 weeks into the job, I cannot give you any timeline on that. I'm sorry. No, I need to get the facts and data here, right? I think also, and I think nobody wants to hear about COVID, right? But the parties that has to approve an FDA approval is the FDA. and they have been doing a lot of emergency use application work on COVID-19 over the last period of time. So it's been difficult to find time with those, right?
I thank you very much and wish you good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.